I would say that the most important thing for us is the strategy. So we've always been strategy first. When you're outsourcing different aspects of the marketing, you kind of lose control over the entire process because the philosophy and the strategy is in your head. I always said the foundations are more important. Architecture is always bigger than actually activity. Focusing on manual activities is going to make it really hard because you're competing against big teams. But if you architect the entire system for recirculation, so people are seeing the same core message that is talking to their main core problem, the most urgent problem, as Russell Brunson says, you've got to focus in on their most urgent problems. You should not be afraid of losing out. You've got to be the go-to expert in that micro niche to solve their most important problems.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, Coffee with Experts. This is your host, Ranmay here. And today we have Laura, who is the Revenue System Architect and CMO at LMNts Marketing with us. Hey, Laura, how's it going?
I'm really well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Lovely. Laura, before we move any forward, why don't you talk us through your journey a bit, how it all started, how you got in the marketing space, and also a bit about LMNts Marketing, what you guys do, what are your core offerings, and we will take it off from there.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I'm originally from Hungary, as you might be able to notice the accent. And I didn't actually start off as a marketing person at all. I was studying humanities and literature and linguistics and cultural management at the university until they asked me the question, where are you going to do your practice teaching? I said, what do you mean practice teaching? Do you think I'm going to stand in front of the kids talking about love poems? It's not going to happen. So I did still get my degree and I did drop the teaching subject for obvious reasons. I was not prepared to talk to teenagers about love poems, especially not in a classroom full of like 30 people. And I went to do 2 courses. So one of the courses was because I was already working as a marketing manager. So I took on a marketing course. And the other one was because I was always obsessed with writing. I started a PhD in journalism at the same time as my full-time degree. Now, marketing did actually capture my heart because it's logical. It was numbers based. It was all about systems. Unfortunately, journalism didn't go that way because when I was doing my internship, someone decided that my article that I wrote about my village where I grew up was, we can't publish it. And the same weekend, on Sunday, it was published on the deputy editor's name with my photos and everything. So that was the end of my journalism career as you know it. It was a massive disappointment. So I was actually stuck with marketing. And we started back then. That shows my age, by the way. So you will probably remember when direct mail was big.
No.
You don't? Like when everyone was setting mass letters with like loads of like marketing letters to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's when I started my marketing career as a marketing manager, and we grew the company from 140. No, from 140 customers
Oh,
to
wow.
over 7,000. And that was just direct mail. So obviously I got my promotion to marketing director at the age of 20 while still at full-time university. And I was supervising everything from the databases, everything. And I fell in love with it because it was so easy to actually figure out what people want. It was talking to the audience. I didn't even know back then what USP was, but I found the USP of the company, and that's how we could penetrate the market, which was really competitive. Fast forward, I had my kids, I got married, and we decided to come to England. And as you might know, you can't really convert a degree from Hungary to a British one. So I started working in the second largest bank in the UK, which was like no challenge whatsoever. So it was a blessing in disguise in the last recession when they actually said, "Oh, we're closing down this center. You can go to the other one or the other one," which would have meant like 2 hours commute each way, or you can take the money. So we're talking about 2011 when this happened. So I said, "Give me the money. I'm going to do something with it." And that's when I went on a massive catch up learning spree, started freelancing, writing the articles, learned everything that was to be learned about SEO, about websites, built my own website, got some affiliate programs under my belt. I was earning commissions. And then I said, "Oh, it's not satisfying really. I should do something better." And that's when I started LMNts Marketing.
Lovely, lovely. And you have deliberately positioned Elements Marketing as an in-house funnel team. So what structural choice made that model suitable and scalable rather than being very service heavy?
Well, to be honest, I would say that the most important thing for us is the strategy. So we've always been strategy first. When
Mhm.
you're outsourcing different aspects of the marketing, you kind of lose control over the entire process because the the philosophy and the strategy is in your head. So everything's got to stem from the SEO to the paid ads to the contents, to even influencer marketing. It has to be all in house. And if people are not on board because they are just contractors, freelancers, then it's just not going to work. The only thing that we do have partners for at the moment is web design, because we just don't have the capacity if somebody wants the web design done or the tools or the team to turn it around that quickly. And it's not the best use of my time anymore, to be honest. I'm the type of person who's on WhatsApp and clients are going to just message me saying, "I've got this idea. Can you?" And I said, "Okay, that's a good idea. Do you want me to create a strategy?" And they got the strategy the same day and they implement it the next day. So for me, waiting around for contractors has never, ever, ever been something I can cope with.
Mhm.
Um, and it gives us the flexibility as well to do account-based marketing. So instead of, "Oh yeah, we do SEO, we don't care if your website works or not, or if your checkout page works or not." We look at the full system to make sure that we are getting the conversion. So that's the main reason why we are all in-house.
And during expansion phases, how does it help and what are the challenges, when you're all in-house and you get immediate projects, you're really scaling up? What are the challenges and how do you solve them?
I would say the main challenge and the main lesson I learned growing Elements Marketing was the filtering process of clients and
Yeah.
employees. In the beginning, I just wanted to get started. And hands off, I did take on the wrong clients with unrealistic expectations, and it was just more pain than gain, really. So at the moment in Elements, we do have so many filters in the system. We do charge £50 deposit for meetings, and that's non-negotiable. We do have a compulsory marketing assessment in the beginning before we start working with the clients to make sure they've got everything in place so we can actually create results for them. Because if we can't, there's no point really, because it will ruin our reputation and we can't match their expectations. So that's very important, because we've had clients who literally were trying to micromanage our web design team. So I remember this moment sitting in the office, and this is one of the funniest moments from our
Okay.
web designer. He's no longer with us because he became lazy, but that's a different story. So this client actually sent us an email about her website, which was dragging on for months and months. You know that feeling when you just want to get it done and they just don't get back to you, or they just change their minds, or they want to do something. Yeah. So this was going on, and she sent us an email, and she said, "Can I actually have the text in orange, in
Hmm.
dark orange, and the background in no, the background in dark orange and the text in green. That was
Hmm.
after like 15 revisions. And our web designer turned around and said, if you want your website to look like a moldy pepperoni, so yeah, you've got to make sure that you are on the same page with the client. So that was something that I learned the hard way, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who learned that lesson. That you do have to pick the clients you can really work well with, and who know exactly where they are going. I don't know if you've had any similar experiences.
Oh, yes, quite a few times. So many revisions made. And you know what? I mean, a lot of times, a lot of brands, they're themselves not very sure of what do they want, right? So even they change the initial scope of work so many times, right? So now we have, kind of put a tap on maximum 3 changes within the first so many days, right? Because you would not want to rework on the baseline crux of it on which it all started, right? So that's how we are handling it. But yeah, I mean, someone who's really passionate about and very picky about every single thing that goes on the website, kind of makes you rework quite a few things. But I understand, I feel you here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And moving on, 2026 is, so much about, in fact, for the last couple of years, it has been so much about AI kind of changing how we look at search, rankings, all the LLMs now popping up, the AI overviews. So, what is your take on the general momentum shift which has happened in the last couple of years?
I would say that it's quite a good thing, in a way. It's if you think about it, any tool, like they could give me a supercar, but if I'm not trained to drive a supercar, I'm going to crash it if they tell me to do 200 miles an hour. That's a given. But AI in the right hands is a good thing. And I think the language models that can actually understand context now in search push the EAT principle higher in priority. So
Hmm.
that means that you're not writing with like 10, 15 years ago. You will remember, Remy, when there were loads of like these content mills that were stuffing every single keyword
Yeah.
that was, and every single subhead was the keyword, and it can't happen now. And it's a good thing because you've got to be useful for your audience. And if you just, the only danger I can see in overutilization of AI for SEO is that if you overutilize it and just prompt and paste, that's what I call it. It's just going to repeat what's already there. So it's not going to be useful content. And you and me both know that useful content is the most important
Important thing.
thing in Google right now. So if you're just asking ChatGPT to write a blog, it's going to take everything that's already out there. There's going to be nothing new. It's going to be rehearsing the same thing. And
Yeah.
that's a danger. So you absolutely need to treat AI as a partner and AI searches as a partner. We do have the AI subscription on our SE ranking account, which is an amazing tool to
Yeah.
monitor how where we get where we actually are coming up and where our clients are coming up. And based on that, we managed to take clients in a month. We managed to take them from 70 appearances in AI search results to 600 a month. That was just monitoring that. So
Mhm.
it is almost more. It's in a at a tipping point. I don't know if you agree with that, Rame, that it is starting to become more important than keywords.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
What do you
Yes.
think about that? So it's like almost equal now, and very soon the context's going to be what matters, the style, the tone of voice, the information, the structure. Just, for example, just putting an FAQ on a website is going to make a massive difference. That's nothing. It's just like literally a 5-minute job to put together an FAQ with your client. And that's going to put them right up there.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying the coffee and the conversation so far. This show is powered by Digital Web Solutions, and if you've ever wondered how the biggest brands actually build authority, this is it. DWS has a massive network of over 250,000 publishers, real sites that help you rank on Google, and more importantly, stay visible in AI search. It's the heavy lifting most teams just can't do on their own. As a thank you for listening, they're offering an exclusive free strategy call just for our eCoffee listeners. It's a great way to map out your authority plan for 2026. Just click the link below to book yours and see how they can help scale your brand. All right, now let's get back to the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's becoming more than just, keywords in SEO now. So the tonality, the overall way you're presenting content and the intent of the search has become way more than just like doing keyword search, right? Especially with the LLMs, because now you're looking at more intentful search phrases than just, okay, buy shoes online. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
so yeah, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it now. Moving on, what makes Frankenstack particularly dangerous, Laura, for agencies compared to in-house marketing teams?
Well, the main problem with Frankenstack, as I call it, so it's basically a bunch of disconnected toes that don't fit together, don't talk to each other, just like a Frankenstein monster, really. It makes
Right.
it actually does make the business leak. So when it's like in-house, someone might be responsible for social media, someone might be responsible for funnels, someone might be responsible for the web, someone will be sending out newsletters. And if all those tools are not connected because everyone's just trying to protect their job and their territory, it is going to bleed revenue because you're not getting feedback based on how many people opened your emails, how many people have clicked on several links. And that's not going to have an impact on your content strategy. So it's really important. And obviously, we are talking about funnels because I mentioned funnels before. So many people overcomplicate their
Yeah.
funnels with too many tools. I don't know if you've seen this, Rame, but I have seen it when they say, someone told me
Yeah.
I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to get that. And they don't even know, like half of the team doesn't know what the tool does and where to find the data from it and how they
Yeah.
can connect together. So it's like the
Hmm.
lack of the jigsaw connection that's making
Yeah.
you bleed revenue because you could have all the intelligence from all these tools, and some
Yeah.
companies I've seen spending over £1,000 just on subscriptions, and they don't make they don't even use 1% of the abilities of the tools.
I know. I know. I mean, the system should speak with each other in order to stitch together the entire story, right? And not operate in silos.
Exactly.
So that is what needs to be figured out at the core of it, right? When you're formulating the system, it has to be so integrated, so well knit that every touch point is, kind of have a reference point to another touch point and speaking to one another, right?
Exactly.
So that is when the end consumer is gonna have a good experience and your team will be more potent as well while interacting with your audience. So absolutely, I agree with that. Now, for our agencies, for agency owners who are listening to us right now, Laura, our audience, what architectural shift delivers the fastest move away from campaign dependency as per you?
Well, it is something we do actually offer. So it is a holistic approach. We actually start with a paternoster assessment for our clients. So the
Mm.
paternoster assessment takes everything, like their social media presence, their competition, their reputation, their content out there, their strategy, their ads, everything. And once you've got that assessment, you can actually start piecing them together. And very often we get rid of things. Like, for example, I have seen, you're not going to believe this, but I have seen big B2B consultancies actually spending money on TikTok advertising. Like,
Okay.
I know that it's for branding, but what's the return on investment? If you were to put that amount on LinkedIn, you will probably get a positive return on investment instead of just ticking a box that, oh, we are on TikTok. Yeah. So, so that's kind of one of the things. I'm not saying we are present on loads of social media platforms, but we decide whether it's branding account or a pull account. So we call it the velvet rope. And you're not going to pull in high-end customers from some of the platforms. It's just not going to happen. So the integration of the tools, which is very simple now. I mean, we've had Zapier for 10, 15 years, and
Yeah.
I've been using it for a long time to make sure that those systems speak to each other. So
Mhm.
I think collaboration within an agency is very important because everyone seems to think, oh, I'm a social media strategist, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a web designer, I'm a NADS person, I'm an SEO person. But if they don't speak to each other,
Yeah.
it's just going to be disconnected. So I think
Absolutely.
that's the main thing an agency can do to plug the leaks.
Mhm.
And one danger for agencies is if it's in-house in a company, obviously someone who's supervising the entire marketing department will have control over what's happening under them. But in an agency, the main vulnerability is the illusion of control, that you think you've got control, but you don't,
Yeah.
because there's only one person who's got keys to social media, only one person who's got keys to SEO, only one person who's got keys to the web design and the user experience. So
Mhm.
if they don't speak to each other,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more with that. Very nicely said, Laura. Now, finally, before we wrap this up, you have been in the industry for quite some time, Laura. Really appreciate your journey. But for our young audiences, who are trying to make a mark, starting out early in their career in the digital marketing space, what is that one piece of advice you would want to share with?
I would say that the foundations, I always said the foundations are more important. So I always say, in my book as well, I always say that architecture is always bigger than actually activity. Focusing on manual activities is going to make it really hard because you're competing against big teams. If you're starting up an agency, you're competing against automation, AI tools, you're competing on volume. And I think that competing on volume is dead in 2026. You can't compete on volume. If your competitor is putting out 10 posts a week, putting 15 out a week is not going to make a massive difference. So it's not a
Yeah.
good return on investment. But if you architect the entire system for recirculation, so people are seeing the same core message that is talking to their main core problem, the most urgent problem. As Russell Brunson says, you've got to focus in on their most urgent problem. So it's obviously NLPs in the picture, there is psychology in the picture, there's market research, which is very easy with tools like Active Campaign, which we are partnered with, to figure
Mhm.
out what resonates with your audience. So if you're just going out, I call this the shotgun and the rifle. So
Mhm.
do you want to use the shotgun and just go far and wide and eat up all your energy doing so, be everywhere and post more than your competitors? Or do you want the rifle approach where you're the sniper and say, okay, this person is the right person who's got this urgent problem that I know I can solve, and
Mhm.
I'm going to show them exactly how I can do that, not by spreading loads of content that's like mediocre, because that's not going to, first, it's not going to be noticed by social media or Google. Second, it's a waste of your time and energy. But if you focus in, laser focus on the audience
Mhm.
is main problem. And you don't really, if you're like an agency, you don't have to go for volume. If you think about it, I was like that person, and I don't know if I don't think you've had that issue, Rami, but you might have come across some people. For about 5 years, I refused to niche down. Like literally, I did not niche down. I said, oh yeah, what if I'm losing out on someone? I can still take on these type of clients. I can still do e-commerce clients, and because otherwise I'm losing out. But that mindset has to go because there's enough people for you to make a good living as an agency owner in a tiny micro niche with one specific problem. So you should not be afraid of losing out. You've got to be the go-to expert in that micro niche to solve the most important problem. So that's my best advice.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Laura, for the wise words. I'm sure our audience would love the insights you've shared today. Once again, yeah, I really appreciate you taking out time to do this. For our audience, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
My main platform, my home, as Russell Brunson calls it, is LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a regular newsletter, which is quite popular in the marketing industry, also the SaaS industry. I wrote 2 books recently because I was bored and it had to be done. So one of them is Paternoster Marketing, which is on Amazon, Waterstones, of foils, loads of different retailers. So that was released on Bonfire Night 2025. So it's quite new. And the other one I'm giving away completely free because we are celebrating our 4th Elite Business SME finalist award this year. So it's completely free on my website. The domain is laurafarkas.co.uk, and you can actually download the PDF, and it's called Content is a Conversation. So it ties in with what we were talking about, that it's a two-way feedback loop. It's a recirculation instead of I'm just throwing something out there. So it is a completely free book until April if anyone wants to get their hands on it, but it's also available on Amazon. So that's the 2 things that I'm doing to help founders reduce their manual workload and increase their results, because for me, it's always about the bottom line. It's never about doing more marketing probably because I'm lazy.
Lovely. Thank you, Laura. This has been a great conversation. Cheers.
Okay.